This segment is sponsored by AJ Fernandez. Cigar connoisseurs are already raving about this exquisite cigar which pays homage to Christopher Columbus' discovery of tobacco during his expedition of the New World. Of course, this is AJ Fernandez' New World, a medium full-bodied cigar which shows off the kind of exquisite construction that is expected by master blender AJ Fernandez. This gorgeous box-pressed cigar features a delicious dark chocolate Nicaraguan wrapper that houses a blend of Ometepe, Condega, and Esteli filler that is bound with a jalapa binder. Once lit, the perfectly balanced and refined New World gives off a beautiful billow of smoke and hits you immediately with some spice and citrus flavors. As you begin to lose yourself in the rich aromas of New World, the flavors become more complex and begin to express hints of hazelnut and coffee. The New World is a first-time collaboration between AJ Fernandez and his father Ismael Fernandez, which really makes this cigar stand out in the AJ Fernandez line. To commemorate this union of father and son, AJ Fernandez is offering you this masterpiece at around an MSRP of $6, unheard of for a cigar of this caliber. AJ Fernandez invites you to embark on the journey and smoke the cigar that he guarantees to be one of the most talked about cigars of the year, the New World, Cigar Journal's #1 cigar of the year. Welcome back, everyone, to the Stogie Geek Show. We're rounding out our Stogies of the Week segment. I forget whose turn it was, Will.
It's your turn.
Okay. I smoked the La Flor Dominicana Lajero 707 7x70. This might be one of two, maybe my first 7x70. It takes a lot for me to work up to smoke a 7x70. I mean, when I say this cigar is massive, it is massive, dude. Massive. You gotta go look at one to really appreciate like just how much tobacco they've got in this cigar. It is again 7x70, and the let's see the binder. I don't know if I have. What is the wrapper on this cigar?
Well, okay, so
here. Go ahead, Will.
Yeah, the La Flor Dominicana actually has done 270s. So let me kind of clear up a bit of that one. The one you smoked is got an Ecuadorian Habano wrapper.
Okay.
Now,
is that the 707 or is that different?
It's the 707.
Okay.
But what they did is there was also a 707 TAA exclusive, and that one's a little different in that it had a Sumatra wrapper on that.
Interesting.
So it's based on their Lajero blend. Otherwise, so you smoked the Habano, which is one they just released at the end of last year.
Yeah. It's awkward to smoke a cigar that's this large. I thought I would give it a try. The flavor profile was okay, certainly not bad. I found it difficult to like draw and get a lot of smoke just because, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of tobacco that's on fire at the end, but it has to pass through a long way before it gets to the head of the cigar. And it made it kind of difficult to smoke. Again, the flavors aren't bad. It's a size that I find difficult to smoke. So I think like Luis was saying something interesting, Will. You know, when we've talked about the differences in the ring gauge, and he said, we've always said on the show that you get more of the wrapper flavor in a smaller ring gauge. And Luis brought in an interesting component to that. And he said, you know, it's about the airflow that passes through the cigar. And that airflow is being drawn much more from the filler in a larger ring gauge cigar. But the airflow on a skinnier cigar, you're getting less of that filler. And he kind of added that airflow component to it, which I think is important.
Yeah, and it is. And you know what? When you have a bigger ring, it's a great point he made. When you have a bigger ring gauge cigar, you're battling a respiratory thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not what you want to smoke because you're gonna need a little more lung strength or whatever. Just kind of. So I mean, I was telling you, I was gonna talk about smoke this cigar, and I opted not to because I was battling a respiratory thing earlier in the week.
Yeah,
so
it's interesting. Will, I thought it was a bigger cigar, larger ring gauge, so I'm probably going to get more smoke from it. But that wasn't necessarily the case. I got like an average or little less than average amount of smoke from it, just because of the way the shape was. So I tell you what, though.
Say hi. Say hi. Say hi.
Hi.
My wife just passed by. She just got Mrs. Cigar Coop just passed by.
Hi, Mrs. Cigar Coop.
Okay.
So I found, Will, that, there are guys that love to smoke this size, and it is kind of a unique smoking experience, smoking a cigar of this size. And some people like that, and all the more power to you. Excuse me. It's not really for me.
Have
I had it as a try one.
Have you found? Okay, I've smoked probably some more 70 ring gauge, and I'm not knocking a 70 ring gauge.
No,
If someone, if but I haven't found one that's gonna say, you know what? There's a 70 ring gauge out there
yeah, no, I
that you
agree.
gotta smoke. The closest one I'll say that I've said, okay, it's the best is Asylum's Barber Pole Ogre.
Yeah, that
That's
ogre.
the
Yeah.
closest one. It's better in the 70 than the 50, but otherwise, I haven't really. Whether I like 70 or not, I just haven't found one that's better yet. I
Mm.
can say there's 60s that are good out there, but
Yeah,
not 70s.
Asylum. Actually, we smoked the Asylum 60 on the show a long time ago, and it was pretty good, dude. I smoked it. Actually, we did a show on 60 ring, and I liked it. I thought it was a good cigar, and there are a lot of other 60 rings that I could find that fit my flavor profile a lot more so than 70s, and that's just probably because there's not as many 70s out there either.
Right, and then Asylum's a line that they really focused on the big ring gauge. They really
Yeah, they did.
they built their brand around that.
Yep.
So, yep.
Back to you, Will.
Okay. The last one, actually, this is my last one. It's another cigar by Warp Cigars. And this was actually, I'm gonna admit, I cheated on this one. I had it a little before the show, before the week because I had a respiratory. But I did smoke. This is a cigar by Warp. That's probably their most I call uber limited. And it's called the Don Renato. And it's in a Corona size, which is 5.5 by 42. It's. They did a release of these late last year. They did 100 boxes, and they gave it to some select retailers. If they were not at Corona, by the way, because I had my
Mm.
son try to get me some more after I had this, and they were gone. Um, it's what I'll say about this blend. It's their most Dominican blend. So it puts more of a Dominican. They use a Dominican Corojo wrapper. It's a Nicaraguan binder, and it's a mostly Dominican filler. This little cigar, in my opinion, is head and shoulders the best blend they've put out. It's a little flavor bomb. Is all I could say about this cigar. It's and Kyle Gellis did this as a tribute to his father, I guess, because who taught him that, and it's I guess he saved his best, for something like this. It's got a lot of those Dominican-esque quality. I'll say if you like Davidoff, you're gonna like this cigar. If you're not a Davidoff person, you're probably gonna not like this cigar. I'm a Davidoff guy, so um, just great flavors. It's a medium to full cigar. Um, I hope he puts more of these out. I don't know. I got the impression it may be coming back, but it's a fight Chuck Norris, and I am out
Interesting.
of these. I am out of these, which is a shame. So I'm trying to track these down.
I also smoked the Warp cigars, Will, the El Oso.
Yeah, we were talking about that. The Mama.
Yeah, the Mama, which is the kind of Lancero-ish size. And and I smoked the other Warp cigar that you smoked too,
The 36?
the Colmena. I
Yeah.
smoked Colmena. It was yesterday. It was yesterday because Brendan was
Yeah.
asking me today if I had a better smoking day. I had Paul syndrome like hardcore, dude. Every cigar that I picked up had some kind of construction problem. I don't know what it was. I like to think that I weeded them out of my collection. And unfortunately, one was the Colmena, so I can't review that cigar in any way, shape, or fashion. Which, I mean, I don't fault anyone for that. It's fine. But I smoked the El Oso, which had some construction issues. But to speak to that cigar, it was so friggin' goodwill that I was like toughing through it. I was like, the flavor profile of this El Oso is ridiculous. It was ridiculous. It had the only way I could describe it was a Cuban flavor profile, not even Cuban-esque. Like, it tasted like I was smoking a Cuban cigar, and
Yeah.
it was just awesome. It was awesome. I smoked it anyway, even though it was a little plugged. It was awesome. I loved it. I loved it. It had that cedary, with a little bit of sweetness, kind of Cuban flavor to it. I mean, spot on. It was just awesome. So I didn't rate them fully or put them up on the website. We're going to look into sourcing some more because I want to smoke more. I would buy, actually, even though mine had a little bit of a construction issue, I would buy a box of those warped El Oso Mamas.
That I haven't smoked the Mama, and for folks who are familiar with Warp, that is actually a different blend than the rest of the line, which the Papa and the Cub. So the Papa and the Cub have an Ecuadorian Oscuro wrapper. That's a San Andreas wrapper.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have not had that, and that's in the Lancero. I actually, after I spoke to you on this, I actually spoke to Seth from Seth's Humidor,
Yeah,
who's
because he
he
reviewed the Mama.
and I said, look, is this really that? He said, oh yeah. He said that one, the one you need to smoke.
Okay.
So I like the El Oso. There's some people really love the El Oso and the Oscuro. I
Mm-hmm.
liked it. I'm more of a La Comena guy, but in terms of what he did with that Mexican, which is, I guess it gets a little confusing sometimes. I guess he's doing different blends for different sizes, so it makes
Yeah.
sense. I do need to try that cigar, so I have not
Yeah.
tried it yet. I really want to try it.
I think he grew that Mexican wrapper in Cuba or something. I don't
Well,
know why. I don't know what it was, dude, but it was special. It was special. He did a great
you
job
know,
with it.
when he was on the show, and like I said, he was really an unknown when we had him on the show, and and
Mm-hmm.
and I remember he talked about he likes the small ring gauges. He's enamored with Cuban style of building cigars. His packaging is very, even though he has this kind of modern name Warped, he's very traditional in terms of what he's doing with his packaging. It just doesn't surprise me that you're getting that.
Yeah, it
I
was.
can't
It
say if
looks
El
like it
Titan de
was.
Brandes get Cuban, but
It was
you never.
episode 110. We had Kyle
Yeah,
Jealous of Warp Cigars
yeah.
on the
So
show.
I mean, and Kyle's been actually a big supporter of Cigar Coop. He's been great at giving us some information, and he's got a lot more stuff in the pipeline this year. So definitely, folks should stay tuned. Warped is going to be around for a while.
Mm, very cool.
Yep.
I think that was it for me.
I'll,
Hold on.
I'll throw one more.
Yeah, I can throw in another.
I'll throw another one in
Go
too.
ahead.
I actually just lit this up like today. Asylum's Insidious Maduro came into my local shop today. So it's interesting because if you've had the Insidious, it's a cigar that was meant it's completely out of the mold of what Asylum's doing. They set up a cigar as more for the beginners. So there's only one ring gauge that's above 60. I had the Toro size of the Asylum Insidious in the Maduro. The Maduro is a new one. So the thing about this cigar is it's got a sweet tip cap on it in both the Ecuadorian Connecticut and the Maduro. So the idea is again, it has a little bit of that. It has kind of a sugary taste on it, and this cigar was so this was definitely a cigar for the beginner. When you have it, you're gonna get some of that sweet tip cap right out of the gate. It's going to then deliver some that sweetness will kind of start to dissipate as you're smoking that cigar. So it's kind of and I find that sometimes a good way, when you light a cigar, if you're lighting a cigar, and sometimes you get a little bit of when you're trying to burn out some of the flame or whatever, so to speak, or if you're using matches trying to burn out the sulfur, that can kind of tame that maybe that little bit of a rough start if you're a beginner. And then when you're seasoned, you really won't have that problem. But that sweetness will start to go away. It will give away to some espresso notes. It will then have more of cedar and earthy. I'll be honest, I like the Connecticut better. But again, these just came into the shop and they were off the truck, which is usually, I won't review a cigar like that. Um, but it was a mild cigar. So if you're someone, it's not a spicy cigar. Um, so I think it's gonna be somewhere for me like a try one. It's a good cigar. It's not for me maybe, but I see the place in the market for it. I do like that Insidious Connecticut better. I think that's a really good cigar.
Mm, cool. I smoked a couple. Actually, I had one in there. This is the. I don't know what happened to it. Oh yeah, it's right here. Avo Heritage Short Bellicoso.
Oh, is it the new Avo one or the old Avo?
These are all new. So I went into Mr. J's Havana Smoke Shop. I'm glad I remember to talk about this. And they brought back in the full Avo line. Now, have they reblended these or they repackaged them? Because I noticed the boxes and the bands were different.
From what I understand, the blends stayed the same and they've been repackaged.
Yep. And
I have not.
there new sizes in there, or they're all the same sizes?
They're actually they've cut back on the sizes.
Interesting.
So
Okay.
they haven't come out with new sizes. They've actually scaled back on them. The only thing I can't say, and I've talked to people, I have not smoked it, so I can't comment. But some people say they smoke different. But I don't know if there's different vintage of tobacco they're using. That's the one thing you got to keep in mind with a regular production cigar. The vintages can change.
Can change. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't smoked enough Heritage to know if there are differences. I have smoked enough of the XO, which I did smoke as well, to know that if there are differences. Um, I would say the XO is pretty much the same. I mean, they're definitely a much younger tobacco than I probably smoked in the XO. So I think the traditional XO is probably the ones I smoked have been sitting around in the shop for at least a few months, maybe 6 months, maybe a year before I smoke them, because it's just it's been around for so long and whatever. But Mr. J Savannah got like they got Heritage, XO, and Domain. I think were the three, maybe even another one in there.
Classic is the other.
Classic is the other. I think I don't know if they brought they might have. They might have brought Classic in too with all new packaging, new bands, like you said, pared down sizes, and they had some sizes I hadn't tried before because they aren't available in some of the local shops. So I was like, yeah, I can get one of that size, one of that size. So I actually smoked the Avo Heritage Short Bellicoso and the Short Robusto this week. And this is a good blend. Ecuadorian sun-grown wrapper, Dominican binder and filler. They're about $7 a piece. It's a good blend from Avo. It's not my top, pick from Avo, but it's got some nice tea and hay notes that I really like, and it's a little bit more amped up than definitely the Classic, the Domain, or even the XO. A very different flavor profile. A little stronger, a little richer. I like it. I think it's a good everyday type of smoke. I would put these at a 5. Nice size. I love the Short Robusto and Short Bellicoso. I kind of have this affinity towards those sizes. I love them. I think they're awesome. I also smoked the XO Corona, and that starts off, dude, with like some serious grassy hay flavor. Like,
Oh yeah.
blast you in the face. But then it dissipates, and it becomes, nice smooth cigar without, and it really balances out. I think it's kind of cool to get that really grassy herbal flavor right in the very beginning. Kind of wakes up your palate, but then that does kind of dissipate. So it would be too much if that was throughout the whole cigar. So I liked the Corona. Good stuff.
Yep. It's interesting. March 22nd is Avo's birthday.
Nice.
And I have not heard word of the Avo Limited 15, which is very unusual. So I don't know if I have not talked to Davidoff or Avo if they've delayed that or not. I'm kind of wondering if they have, given they're trying to do a push right now and there's a big push, at least in the Southeast. There's a lot of Avo events going to be going on over the next few weeks in the Southeast.
Nice.
So I'm wondering if that's the case. So I have heard they're doing an Avo 15. Usually that Avo 15 has been announced and it's already shipping. So I'm a little surprised right now. We're getting close.
I smoked some Viaje too. I smoked a Viaje Oro Torpedo. Was that a store exclusive to Corona?
No.
Okay. I had never seen a Viaje Oro Torpedo before. It might be from one of the original Oro runs, too.
That's what I was going to say, because the Oro, yeah, it could be one of the Oro runs. That I'm not sure if they did another run.
It was super old. It looked super old, dude. I mean, it smoked very smooth, had that Oro kind of caramel flavor profile to it. It was very good. I would rate it a 5. Probably not my favorite size in the Oro blend. I like the Robusto better.
Me too.
But it was super old, dude. Like, the cellophane was really yellow when I took it off, so... That was good. I was glad I got a chance to smoke that one. In addition to, I smoked another. I'm going to have to review this on the next one. I smoked another Viaje, which was like a special direct-to-store release. I don't remember which one it was, and those things are aging awesome, and I'll definitely do a full review of that one on the next show.
Yeah, no, Andre made a few announcements this week of some new lines, and Andre will be on the show April 16th, returning to Stogie Geeks. So I'm looking forward to that as well.
Nice.
Yep.
I would say I like the cigars that Andre puts out, and they're definitely kind of all over the spectrum. And it depends on when they age. It's interesting. Like, I liked the Oro Torpedo, but I've got some Oro Robustos that are really old that I like a lot better. And some of his blends that I go back and smoke, I'm like, that was kind of better when it first came out. And then other ones, I'm like, holy crap, that's way better than when it first came out. And then he's got other ones that were like this other Viaje. I wish Mark Jr. and I split a box of these Viajes, and I'm going to look up what that was. It was awesome when it came out, and it's even better now. So there's definitely a lot of different Viaje blends that do different things with age over time. So
I totally agree with that.
So do you have a question to give away our Stogie Geek Smoke Naked t-shirt and a cigar?
Yes, yes. So I will give it our Stogie Geeks question. And the cigar we're gonna give out an AJ Fernandez, or what
Sure.
do we?
AJ
uh,
Fernandez, the bull.
We'll give out an AJ Fernandez blue and a Smoke Naked T-shirt.
That's right.
Question is, I mentioned that Partagas is going to be having an anniversary. What's that number gonna be this year?
Oh, that's a good one. I like it.
Yep. What I want to do, can I make a quick comment before
Yeah,
we sign off? All
sure.
right, and I'm kind of throwing this in there. Um, I lost a friend this week, a guy by the name of Mikey Black, Mike Durago of Nero Cigars up in Haddonfield, New Jersey. And I'm just really, a lot of us were very sad to hear he passed away. He touched a lot of people. He was a Philly guy through and through, a ball buster, but he was one of the nicest guys, and it was amazing how many people in the industry knew this guy. He had a very small shop, so I'm thinking of him and his family right now. Mike was a mentor to me when I started, and actually, I met Mike as I was moving to Charlotte. So I didn't get to his store as much, once I moved down here, but we kept in touch. And he's just a real good guy, and the cigar industry lost a good guy.
Sorry to hear that. I
Yep.
saw your post on Facebook about that,
Yeah,
actually.
it's a lot of us. He had an illness for a while, and he was a fighter. So, but he was a good man, and I watched when the Phillies won the World Series, had that run. That's when I got to know him, and he was just a great guy, biggest ball buster in the world, but
Mm.
also heart of gold. Yep.
So we will return next week with Cigar Oasis, right? Coming on the show.
Cigar Oasis. I think we also have an early segment too.
We might. I have to check the Todd schedule.
I have to check the Todd's get.
Yeah.
We have Kirk Kendall coming up. It's either next week or the week after. We have to check that. But Cigar Oasis will be on next week. So
Sweet.
I know just to people with the shirt contest, the show at stogiegeeks.com.
Yes.
Email your
Email
answer.
the show at stogigeeks.com
Yep.
with your answer.
Yep.
First one in wins.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in to the Stogie Geek Show. That'll conclude this episode. We'll see everyone next week.
Thank
Over
you.
and out.